Hi everybody, we're going to find the partial fraction decomposition. This one has repeated linears, but we don't know that yet because of the denominator here. So what I'm going to do is use synthetic division, and since my last term is -2, I'm going to use my factors of 2, which are plus or minus 1 or plus or minus 2. This is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and use 2 because I already know what it is. But if I use 2 and do synthetic division, and I'm going to write out 1, -4, 5, and -2, and then draw a line and bring down the 1. So you multiply, add, multiply, and add, multiply, and add. So the 2 is a factor. That would be x minus 2, therefore. And then we have, so if I'll write it here, x minus 2 times x squared, because we started with x cubed. So now we're going down to x squared, minus 2x plus 1. That can be factored further as x minus 1 times x minus 1, or you could write it as x minus 2 times x minus 1 squared. So that's what gives you your repeated linear factors, and I have it set up here. So the first thing we want to do is set it up. I'm going to put a constant on top of my linear factors so I can have a proper rational, and then I'm going to eliminate the fractions by multiplying by your LCD, which is your least common denominator. So that crosses out, and we get x squared. This one crosses out, but we're left with a times x minus 1 squared. And this one's going to cross out, and so you're left with b times x minus 1, and we just have one of these x minus 1s. And then plus c. This crosses out, so you have c times x minus 2. Alright, now we're going to pick values that I can eliminate. So the first thing I'm going to do, if I let x be 2, what happens is, if I let x be 2, when I plug in a 2 here, I'm going to get a 0. Plug in a 2 here, I also get a 0. So this eliminates these two here. So I just plug a 2 in here, so you get 2 squared equals a times 2 minus 1 squared. So we get basically 4 equals a, or 1 times a. Now if we let x be 1, what's going to happen is you get a 1 in here, that's going to zero out, a 1 in here, that zeroes out. So we're just going to take the x, c times x minus 2. So I'm going to plug in 1 here, and you get 1 squared equals c times 1 minus 2. So we get 1 equals negative c, therefore c equals negative 1. Alright, and I messed that whole thing up, so I'm going to write it again. We have x squared equals a times x minus 1 squared plus b times x minus 2 times x minus 1 plus c times x minus 2. So now let's let x be 0. If we let x be 0, we get 0 squared equals, and I'll put a 0 in there, so that's going to be negative 1 squared. That's going to be a plus, if I put a 0 in here, I get negative 2 times negative 1, so that's going to be 2b, and if I plug a 0 in here, I get negative 2c, so that's going to be minus 2c. Now, we knew that our a was 4. Let me do a different color. A equals 4. We also know that c equals negative 1. So you substitute, so we get 0 equals 4 plus 2b minus 2 times negative 1. Well, that equals 2. So we get 0 equals 6 plus 2b, or negative 6 equals 2b. Therefore, b equals negative 3. So we found our a, b, and c here. And now we just plug it in. And so you get x squared divided by x cubed minus 4x squared plus 5x minus 2 equals my a, which is 4, divided by x minus 2 plus b, which was negative 3, divided by x minus 1. And my c was negative 1, and then we divide that by x minus 1 squared. And that's all. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.